everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of our Back to Basics little junk journal that we're going to make. So we have made the signature. It's got all the inclusions in that we want, and I hope that you're at this stage too. So what we're going to do today is make pockets. But I want to add a pocket onto here. I think that would be nice because it will have a cover on it, but once you open the cover, this will be the first page that you see. So a nice little pocket would be nice there. But what I'm going to do first, before I put the pocket on, is stencil. Now, I'm sure most of you will have some stencils. This one is just some little roses. It's very simple, stylized roses. Anything will do, anything at all. I have got other stencils that I could use, but I quite like this one. So I'm just going to place it in the corner there, and I'm going to use Distress ink. Now, Distress ink, the Distress is a brand name. It doesn't mean it's going to distress anything. It's not going to make it tear or anything like that. And this Distress comes in 2 different sorts. It comes in the Distress ink and it comes in Distress oxide. Now, they are very different things. They look identical apart from that one word that says either ink or oxide. But the oxides are opaque. You put them down and you can't see through them. The inks are translucent. You can always see underneath, if you like. So for this, I'm using Distress ink. It's fine, it's enough, but be warned, it will always be reactivated by water. So if you stencil on there and then inadvertently spray it or something, it will just disintegrate. Your image will disintegrate because you can always reactivate it with water. Now, sometimes that's a useful property and we use that. Sometimes you don't want that property. So if you know that you are going to be putting a stencil on, for example, or whatever it is with Distress ink, and you know you're going to be coming back again to maybe watercolour or spritz something out, you need to use a different ink. You need to use one of the archival inks or any of these inks. These ones here. There's StazOn, there's VersaFine Clair, and there's Archival. Those ones you can't move with water. Once they're on, they're on. So those are different to this, very different. And we'll probably talk more about that later, but that's all you need to know really about the Distress inks at this stage. Now, the method of actually getting them onto your paper, once again, we've got choices. I've got these little makeup brushes. They're so soft and they're gorgeous and they're brilliant for stenciling. If, however, I wanted to go around the edge of my page, this isn't very good. You won't get an even sort of coverage around the edge. So one thing you can use are these Daubers. Ranger do them. Other people do them, and the other people that do them, they're generally less expensive than the Ranger ones. And all it is, I'm loath to do this because it's so dirty, is a Velcro pad on the end of the Dauber. That's what it is. And when you buy it, you'll get some of these little felt. This is black. I mean, it is black. I've been using black soot. But you get a pack of these that are clean, and they're the other side of the Velcro, and they stick onto there like that. So every time you want to change your ink, you just take that pad off and you put the pad on for the colour that you want. Another way of getting ink around the edge is using these little finger daubers. And they're great because you can have one for every colour that you want. And just pop it on your finger and then you just ink around the edge of your page. And they're great. I got this set of 40 from Amazon. They weren't that expensive. They come in a little box, so, I like those. But for the stencil, what we need is our little makeup brush. So I'm just going to pop that in the corner, open my ink. Now I'm using pink paper, as you can see, and the ink I've chosen is Victorian Velvet, which is just a little touch darker than the paper. So you'll see it, but it won't be really noticeable. Now you could use, if you're using cream paper, you could use something like tea dye, distress ink, and I'm just really going to be light, very light on here. I want it to be there, but kind of not there. So let's just have a look. Yeah, that's lovely. It's just a whisper of it, just a hint. And I'm just going to do one on the other side at the top. So you load your brush up by just pressing down and rolling it around the actual ink pad. And then just gently. If you want a darker image, obviously you press harder. So there we are. I mean, that's looking really pretty. It's there, but just. So let's just carry on. Do one at the bottom. Now some of this will be covered up by the pockets that we're going to make. But I think it's nice to have it down first. It's easier. This is really a mere hint of a tint. Hint of a tint. That's what it is. Like I said, a whisper. Now, a good little tip that I've learned about loading your brush up. Because when you do that, it moves. Now I've got a cutting board on here, and if I put that just at the side of it, there, and then load my brush up, it can't push that way. So it'll hold it still for you. It's just a little tip. Right, so that I'm happy with that. That's enough. I'll lay my stencil to one side. I think that looks really pretty. It's just the start of something really nice. So I've looked at some, well, this is a remnant that was in my, oh, isn't that gorgeous? In my, oh, I didn't know that was on the other side. That is so pretty. Oh, I might make a pocket out of that. But I want to show you just how to cut up your 12 by 12s. So what you could do is, if your quilting ruler is long enough, you could just do that. Use your rotary cutter or your scalpel, whichever you're comfortable with, or whichever you own really. So you could do that. What you would do is mark along one edge of where you want your cut to be. So say we wanted our pockets to be, oh, I don't know, 2.5, say. You'd do that, you'd measure it, put a little tick at 2.5, line everything up there with your 2.5, and away you go, and you'd have a square bit like that. Now you can get big trimmers. I have tried a lot of big trimmers, and the one that I've landed on that I'm most happiest with is this one. Now it's a big bit of kit and it's expensive. They also do a smaller version. This is by Caterpillar, a company called Caterpillar, Cutterpillar, and this is called the Pro. They also do one called the Crop, which is has only got a 6-inch bed and an arm that swings out. And actually, I think that would be better. I wish I'd bought that one, to be honest. But I've got this big 12 by 12 bed. It's got grid markings all the way up so I can make sure my paper's straight. It's got inches along here. It's got centimetres along here. And the way it operates is exactly the same way as a rotary cutter. There's a rotary cutter blade in there. And every time it goes down this metal edge, it sharpens itself. So it will never be blunt, which is brilliant. So whether you have this type of cutter or any other trimmer or whatever, what you need to do is work out what size do you need your pocket. what looks right on your signature. So I think a 2.5 inch pocket would look nice there. So I'm going to trim off a 2.5 inch piece. Now, there's no point just putting 2.5 inches over this side because I can't see. I've got no measurements here. So I need to go all the way along here to 2.5 on my ruler here. So I'm at 2.5 there, and then just make sure that it's square up that line. Oh, might have been square, now I've just budged it. And it's worth taking your time with, and then hold it as flat as you can. With this one, you push the blade in and then cut down. So there I have it. I have my 2.5 inches that I'm going to use for pockets and this brilliant remnant. Right, lovely. Let's put this big one away, and I'll introduce you to something that's a little bit more manageable. Is this little kind of desktop trimmer. It's by Tim Holtz, Sonic Studios, and I refer to it as my Timmy trimmer because I don't know why, that's just how I refer to it. It's Tim Holtz and it's a trimmer, it's a Timmy trimmer. So I've got my piece of card here. That's pretty as well on the other side, isn't it? It's always the problem when you get paper packs that have got that are double-sided. Which side shall I use? Well, let's have a look at my signature and see which side looks best. That side or that side? Oh, I think this one, don't you? Yeah, I like that. So while we're here, let's just work out how wide I want it. Now, I don't want it to go all the way across the page. That would it just wouldn't look right to me. You can do it that way if you want, but I'm just going to come in a little bit on both sides. So I think there is nice, and a similar sort of size at the other end. So let's get the ruler out. So this we know measures 5 3/4 because that's where we cut it. So if I want it to come in 1/2 inch at each side, that's 1 inch overall. So 5 3/4 becomes 4 3/4. So that's where I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it at 4 3/4. And this, which way does this go? This way, I think. So slide that along until you get to 4 3/4 on your trimmer. Follow, this has got grid lines on too, so make sure that you follow them so you're absolutely square. It's got a little plastic guard here, a finger guard, but make sure you press it down and hold that paper in place, and then you just chop it off. It's just a little guillotine. So there we have it. We have our pocket. That's lovely. That's going to go there. And yes, it's going to hide most of the stencil that we did, but there still are bits peeking out and it still looks nice. So that's going to be our first pocket. No, that's not quite. So for the second pocket, and we're going to do 2 today, I'll show you where it's going to go and then you'll see what we're doing. So that's going to go there, and then let's just choose another page at random. So, oh, that's the middle, I don't want that. This one here with the seals on the opposite page. Let's do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pocket in, but down the side. For this, I probably do want it to go all the way to the top and the bottom. So let's just measure that exactly and see what it measures. This will be different if you're in the UK or in the States. It's 8 1/4. 8 1/4 for us here. Let's see, if I turn that over so often it's upside down. Doesn't matter. So I need to cut this at 8 1/4. Now, my Timmy trimmer doesn't go up to 8 1/4. It only goes up to 6. I wish it did go up slightly more, but it doesn't. So let's find somewhere to drop that in. So I'm back to my big trimmer. And I want this to be 8 1/4. So slide it along until you get to 8 1/4. Cut that down. So save all your remnants. They're all valuable. They'll all come in later. So let's just have a look at this and see how wide we would like this to be in our journal. That's just too wide, really. Oh, and another thing I want to tell you actually at this stage. Let's just move the seals over there. If you put it there, you're going to be building up bulk right on your spine, and that's where you don't want bulk, because it makes a book go fat really quick. You want it on the outside edge. So it's going to go there on the outside edge. That way then it's still nice and thin down the spine. But what width do we want it? That's too wide. You can't get in there and get things out. So let's just have a look and see where we think would be nice. About there, I think. About there? Yeah, what does that measure? 2 1/2. So right, let's cut that off at 2 1/2. We actually don't need the Jolly Green Giant anymore. We can do this with the Timmy trimmer. All of these, you know, you don't need rush out and get. So slide that along to 2 1/2. There we go. Cut that down. There's another remnant to use for something else. Right. So that's going to go further in the book, opposite the seals, I think. But this one here is going to go there. Now, I think this is wisteria and it's growing down. Yeah, so that's the way it is. Now, it's at this stage you can decide whether or not you want to distress your, well, we call it distress, whether you want to put ink around your edges. That's what distress in this context means. I would recommend something quite light, like tea dye, if you're doing pastel colours like me. I don't know if I want to do mine, but I do want to show you how to do it. So let me just find my tea dye, wherever that may be. I haven't had it for some time, so it could be anywhere. Tea dye, there we go. Right, so it's a very sort of light brown. This one looks like it's seen better days. So I'm just going to use one of my finger dabbers. Get some ink on there. When it's new, it's kind of hard to get ink on it, so plenty ink. And then you just go round the edge, just touching it. And you'll find you do have more control with a finger dabber, I think. So I'm throwing all these bits of kit at you. You do not need to go out and buy them all. I've given you alternatives for cutting things like a ruler and a scalpel. You could draw a straight line and cut it with scissors. If that's what you've got, then that's what to use. So there we have it. That's going to go there. I think it looks quite nice with the ink around it, actually. So now we are going to stick that on. So let's just take this piece of paper from the signature. So it's going to be easier to work on because it's flatter. And where exactly are we going to put this? So we know we want it 1/2 inch in from both sides, but where do we want it? Here, about 1/2 inch up from the bottom. I think that might look quite nice. Now, I have a problem seeing straight lines. I'm sure I'm not the only one in the world with that problem. And if you, like me, can't see straight lines, then the thing to do that I've found over the years is I've got a 1/2 inch line here on my ruler. So I'm just going to put that there along the bottom. And I've got the inch marker here. So I know if I put that at 1/2 inch in, which is there, and tight against that ruler, I know I'm going to be all right. If you're not confident holding on to the ruler and gluing, and why should you be, then just draw a little line. Draw a little line along the bottom in pencil so you can rub it off, and that will be the line that you go up to. And then we want it 1/2 inch in, so just get that there, and that's where you want to put your corner, there. So judging from there, it's going up to that line which is the corner, and along there which is the bottom, and then we should have perfect placement. Right, sticking it on. This brings us to another sticky question. Haha, see what I did there? The type of glue to use. Right, there are as many glues, honestly, as junk journalers, I would think, and it is a real hot topic. People are always commenting on their glues and they're not behaving and this and that. I use 2 types of glue, basically. Sometimes I also use a bookbinding glue, but that tends to be for bookbinding. But generally, I use 2 types of glue, and one is this Collal, and the other is art glitter. Art glitter. Don't worry about it. It hasn't got glitter in it or anything like that. It is just literally, it's a silicone glue. That's what it is. It's a white glue, but it dries clear, and it's a very strong glue. The only thing I would say when you're starting out, it dries mega quickly. It doesn't give you a chance to reposition things. So be aware of that. And I'll just pause you there. Right, so this is the Collal glue that I use. Collall, all-purpose glue, and it's an acetone-based one. Now there are other acetone-based glues. There's Fabri-Tac, and there's also Beacon. This company here do one called 3-in-1. Personally, I find them very difficult to handle. I really do. They tend to be gloopy and stringy, and I just don't get on with them, but many other people do. So those are the 2 that I use, the Collal and the art glitter. And I think if you've got those, you'll be all right. So let's just stick this on. I'm going to use, I am going to use my art glitter glue. But I will be aware that it dries quickly. Now, that's the way it's going to go. The wisteria's growing down, so this is the side here that I don't want to glue. So turn that over, and I just put a T on there for top. Okay, you're never going to see it because it's going to be stuck down. So you just want a thin little bead of glue. It is strong, this stuff, so you don't need masses, and if you put masses on, it'll just squidge out. So you just want a little bit. Like that. In fact, that may even be too much. So going by our lines that we put on before, I want that on that pencil line, and I want to follow that pencil line along there. And there we have it. Our first pocket. Yay! Now if you've got any little bits of glue coming out, which you very well may have, just take a paper towel or a ordinary towel that you use for crafting and just wipe it up. But wipe it up quickly because it'll dry and you'll be stuck with it for life. So there we have it. There is our first pocket. So let's pop that back in the book. There we are. So that when you open your cover, this will be the first thing that you see. Obviously, we're going to put a tag or something in there, but not today. This is about pockets. So where's this one going? Where's the seals gone? There we are. So this one's going to go here, like that. So let's get this page out. And what I do when I remove a page, trick I learnt from Artie Mays, when you remove your page, put your other, it's like falling dominoes here. Put your other page crossways on, and then you'll know where the page goes that you're working on when you come to put it back in. Right, so we want ours here. Let's just check that it's okay. Yeah, that's perfect. So I'm going to ink around it again. Just got a little tail here from where I cut it off, so trim that off. Right, so let's ink around this with the tea dye. This is the same upwards and downwards, so I don't have to work out which way the pattern goes because it's, I nearly said unilateral, it's not that. It's any way up, I think, is what I'm trying to say. So by doing this, you get a nice edge on your paper, and you also get rid of that white line where you've cut it. You know, the sort of pulp of the paper, which never looks attractive. Yeah, that's a good tip, actually. Yeah, look what I've just done. I've just put ink on there. That is not good. I do not want that there. So let's just pop a bit of water on there. Let's see if I can dab that up a little bit. I think we're going to have to learn to live with this one and embrace it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I should have told you that. Never ink over your work, because that does happen. Bits of the sponge come off and you'll make a mark on your book. I could use another bit of pink paper there, but it's part of it. It's part of it now. It's part of its history. You never know, if we get clever, we might can think of a way to cover it up, disguise it. Butterflies are always good for that. If you see a butterfly in a junk journal that looks slightly out of place, it's generally because somebody's made a bit of a faux pas. So that's going to go there. We don't need any measurements or anything, we just need it right on the edge. So just leave one side, one of the long sides, don't glue it because it's a pocket, so glue the two shorter sides and one of the long sides. So yeah, there's quite a bit of cutting and getting used to things, and probably, to be honest, quite a bit of expense. but a lot of those you don't need straight off. You know, make sure that you know you like junk journaling before you start splashing out money, because then once you do like junk journaling, you'll be spending money like it's going out of fashion. The Amazon man will be at your house every day, just warning you of what's to come. Right, so there we are, we've got that on there. So we've got ourselves a really nice little side pocket. Put anything we like in there. I think before the next one I need to go and scrub my ink mat, this messy mat. So that's the pages that I had crossways on, so they go into the middle there. And then here's my journal, goes like that. So yeah, I mean, it's beginning to feel more like a journal already. So there we have it. We've got 2 pockets, plain, simple, straight up pockets. This one going this way, and then we've got the other one going that way, the side pocket. So there we are. Have a go, see if you can cut your papers, get them square on your book, ink around the edges if that's what you want to do, do your stenciling if that's what you want to do, and I'll see you back here soon. Bye.